Khushboo, first, congratulations. You have become a member of the National Commission for Women. You're a woman of many parts. You've been an actor, you are an actor, you're a BJP leader, you're now a member of the NCW. But I don't know how many young people know here, you've also had to fight many battles along the way. Even as a young child, you were brought up essentially by your mother. You actually had an abusive parent at home, an abusive father. You've been brave enough to speak about it. I want you to tell all the young women here, what has been the toughest thing in your life for you to get to where you have today?
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. And thank you, Barkha, for having me.
Always a pleasure to have you at We the Women.
And pleasure meeting you too. I think the easiest way, first I would like to say, was my confidence. The toughest thing, which took me long, not forget, not forgive, but put it behind me and move forward, was the abuse I faced by my father as a child. Because I think when a child is abused, it scars the child for life. And it's not about a girl or a boy, any child for that matter. It scars them for life. And not many people are able to come out of that.
And how old were you, Khushboo, when you faced and experienced this abuse? Your mother was abused by him as well. You were a little child.
My mother has been through a most abusive marriage. A man who probably thought it was his birthright to beat up his wife, beat up his children, sexually abuse his only daughter. He thought it was birthright. Being a man, it was his right to do so. And when my abuse started, I was just 8 years old. And I had the courage to speak against him when I was 15.
At the age of 15? Let's applaud that courage. How did you take him on? I mean, most of the girls in this hall are about 18, the school and college girls, the school girls are even younger. At 15, how did you take on this abusive father?
I think I reached a stage where I had to stand up against him because he kept on abusing me with just one thing, that if I opened my mouth, then he would abuse my mother and my other 3 older brothers more. And that fear sets into that you don't want your other family members to be abused because what you're going through. And one fear which stayed with me was probably my mom may not believe me because I have seen her in that environment. Ki kuch bhi ho jaye, mera pati devta hai. You know, that kind of a mindset. But at 15, I thought that was enough. And when I started revolting against him, rebelling, at the age of, I was not even 16, and he just left us with whatever we had, and he left us literally in a lurch with, we didn't know where the next food is going to come from, and he just left us and went. So I think that courage, I got it because I was confident about myself that I could do it, and as a woman, as a young girl rather, I thought it was enough and I have to stand up against it. And I'm glad I did, because had he been part of our family, I wouldn't have reached so far. I wouldn't have had the courage to fight all the other odds what I have, because if I could fight against a man at home, I think I could manage the world very easily.
Amazing. Divya, I know that for you too, and as this happens with women all the time, you know, Hillary Clinton is going to be our closing speaker today, and one of the things she once told me was, women in public life have to grow a skin as thick as the hide of a rhino, because all kinds of things are said. बहुत कुछ बोला जाएगा, बहुत कुछ बोला जाता है. Even with you, you've had to battle all kinds of, for example, speculation. भाई उसकी शादी करवा दो. ये भी बोला गया, उसकी शादी करा दो, वो ठीक हो जाएगी. Divya, what has been the toughest thing about being a woman in politics?
You know, Barkha, as Khushboo was saying,
Just hold the mic up a little bit.
Yeah. I had an absolute contrary to her. You know, I had a father who was doting on me. I mean, I had a family where I came, where everything came and I stopped at me. You know, you are the sun, you are the moon. And ever since childhood, you know, I was given the confidence. If you fall down and you scrape your knee and you cry, I said, oh gosh, you can do it. And if you can't do it, nobody can do it. I think hats off to her confidence that she had, because parenting is also a very important thing that builds me. And I believe my parents, and especially my father, mother, and my father was the one who always said that, Divya, you can do everything in life. So I think that confidence is the one that drives me, you know, wherever that confidence comes from you, within yourself or why, because of your parenting, it plays a very key role.
Yeah.
But you know, why I'm saying that, because I don't know the word discrimination.
How can that be?
I'm coming
we
to that.
We all know the word discrimination.
Yes, I'm coming to that.
The fact that your marital status is commented on, it would never happen to a man.
I'm coming to that.
कोई आदमी के बारे में ऐसी चीजें नहीं कहता.
No, I'm coming to that. So I didn't know the word discrimination. Entire childhood, my educational institutions. When I joined the party, my party opened me with welcome hands. When I contested an election, I was a young girl. They had seen stalwarts. My grandfather, my father were very big. I was a very young girl who stepped in. I don't know if the people would have, you know, ek nayi ladki aayi hai, but they said, no, you can do it. Only when I became a legislator and you're reaching more towards the top, that's when I realized, yes, there is discrimination. And I faced discrimination after I became a legislator.
Yeah. And what is the kind of discrimination? That speculation on your personal life. I'm going to come to Khushboo also because I know she's dealt with it in a very different way. But that speculation on your personal life, how did you deal with that?
Yes, you know, I realized my personal experience is that men can't handle confident, strong women.
Does the audience agree?
They just can't. And the moment you are somebody who's going to lead, somebody who has talent, they are intimidated, and that's where discrimination starts. I don't think a meek women in politics are discriminated as much as I have to face it.
Khushboo, do you agree that the confident woman, the tough woman, the outspoken woman, the woman with her own views, you know, you have spoken very freely in the past on the need for girls to be aware of reproductive rights, reproductive autonomy, and you got such a backlash you even had to face threats. I remember that time. Do you agree with Divya that essentially men, and sometimes even women, because conditioning is a big part of what happens, resent another confident, successful woman?
Yes, definitely. I would like to add to what Divya said. Outspoken, strong, bold, and beautiful. I would like to add that because a lot of men get intimidated with beautiful women because they think beauty and brains don't go hand in hand. That's an absolutely no-no, especially when it comes to politics.
So, oh really? In politics you can't be beautiful?
You can't be beautiful and you can't be a woman with brains. Either you have to be brainy, otherwise you have to be a dumb bimbo and a beautiful. That's it. There cannot be a combination of both. And I think that's why people like me and Divya, probably we see more in politics that how tough it is to face because we have been outspoken. And I faced a lot of problems in the past also. I think in politics, you just have to keep a firm feet and say that your mind has to be strong and say that this is what I want to achieve and I will. Matlab is kaan se suno, us kaan se nikal do. That is how you need to do it. Ki, you can't let anything penetrate in you, and I have learned in a very hard way. In fact, before I came here in the morning, I was speaking to somebody and I was talking about my experience. Like when I was in my very first party when I joined politics, and how we were at an event outstation, not in Chennai, but in an outstation. And this is how men are. We are part of a group and we were just sitting together for lunch because we had to have lunch in one room and the room's allotted. So I was the only woman in that room. And there were these two, the former ministers, who were not even bothered there's a woman in the room, and they thought that because there's a woman in the room and she is in my room and she has to be part of politics, this is how men work, and they wanted to change, literally changing and trying to get into a lungi. And I had to tell them, I said, excuse me, there's a woman in this room.
They were changing in front of you?
Yes. And
like they were basically treating you like you're invisible?
Absolutely. So I had to remind them, there's a woman here. I said, you have to get used to this. And I'm like, excuse me, would you speak the same language to the women in your family if some other guy is changing? Probably tab aapka khoon kholta hua aa jayega that how can you insult my woman? So you have these kind of people, and that is where you need to put your foot down and tell them that you cannot treat me like a piece of anything, but treat me with equal respectability as you would do to any other woman in your family. But at the same time, I also, rather than getting angry with them, with these kind of men around, not only in politics, anywhere, I really pity the women in their family. Because imagine the kind of violence or abuse or disrespectability they would be going through every day. They have seen their mother being subjected to this kind of disrespectability. They know that they have stood silence and they have been absolute mute spectators to whatever is happening around, and they get used to that. They think it's their birthright to insult a woman. It's their birthright to show their misogynist attitude, their patriarchy mindset. Men think that this is how we are and this is how we are going to treat you, and you have to bear with it.
And you know, I can't imagine how doubly difficult it is for you